Yeah, well, this is Glamour Kid saying big up DJ Supreme on the More Knowledge Show on Concious Radio. Say, ooh, ooh, it's Glamour. Glamour said that.
Well, the big question that I want to ask this evening, are we as people in the community, are we really bothered that the month of Black History Month? I had a very interesting and heated discussion with a fellow colleague of mine who said Black history is every day. His words were, Black history is every day. I then proceeded to ask him, what did he do in the month of September? He never said nothing. What did you do in August? He said nothing. But Black history is every day. Now I want to know, and I'm going to put this question to the people and the listeners out there. If Black history is every day, what are we doing every day to move forward with Black history?
That is the question.
Because I think that, this is my opinion, not the opinion of Conscious Radio, but my opinion. We have now become the sabotagers of our own development. As soon as something is put up, we are the ones throwing stones at it, saying, if it's a Black Love Day, oh, Black Love is every day. If it's Black History, if we say Black History Month, you get a segment of people, I'm so annoyed the words won't come out. You get a segment of people saying Black History is every day, and then when you ask them what did they do to celebrate or push Black, if they can't answer.
They're the ones that call the ones in the crowd just making lots of noise without no substance. And another thing that was quite annoying when you read some of the comments are, but we are all people. I don't see colour. What do you mean you don't see colour? But we don't need Black History Month. What about White History Month? What about White History Month? You know, and it's just sort of, it's very frustrating. It's very, very frustrating, the argument. I mean, if people come with the reason why we shouldn't have it, I haven't heard anyone saying why we shouldn't have it, and we all know what's happened in the last couple of years, and how things have actually turned for the worst. So it's probably even needed even more so now at this day and age, especially with the Windrush, what happened to those of the Windrush generation. And in America, obviously, as we know, I don't know if anyone's seen that interesting video, I forgot his name now, that sent around about the Bill Cosby. I don't know if you saw on WhatsApp.
That might be Dr. Boyce Watkins. I'm hearing people talking about Dr. Boyce Watkins.
No, it's not Dr. Boyce Watkins. It's a guy, he does a video and he was talking about justice and about how it's funny how justice is served for people from the Black community, but when someone from the non-Black community is given the same crime or same allegations, it's not done. They're not treated in the same way, even if they're all guilty of. Even if they're found guilty of the same crime, how justice is served is very different. So, do we need a Black History Month, really?
Well, my issue is here. I went to school and left school in
Shiny Red.
19. Let me tell you something. In economics, I got an O level. They don't do O level no more, do they?
No, I don't.
Alright. I got an O level. In design and technology, which is like draftsman, architecture, I got an O level. Quite clever for a stupid person, isn't it? But the same teacher who taught me economics taught me history. He came to me and he says, I won't say my real name. He said, Supreme, how come you excel in economics but in history you're not interested? I said, sir, I find it boring. I said, sir, I found it boring. He said, why do you find it boring? I said, it doesn't interest me. Now this is where I have the argument with people. I know that if Black history was in the day when I was at school, I would be interested in history.
Yes, indeed.
I would be interested in history. Why? Because I can relate to it.
I had a similar conversation with my history teacher, where she was because obviously knowing that my family were from Ghana, and obviously the narrative they teach in schools are always about slavery and literally Windrush. They kind of have only particular narratives. So I sort of asked her, well, what's the other stories? Because I know, what are the other stories for black people? We have black people here in Roman times or Victorian times, where they're not black. No, black people here in other times. What happened? Where were we? And she told me that we didn't exist. So we had a very big fallout. So I refused to take her lesson, and she actually had the audacity to go and complain to my mother, to bring her into school, to complain that I was rude.
You know what?
And I challenged her.
You know one thing I've got to say, and I've got to have a word with my mum when I see her. When they send my report and the report says very disruptive, doesn't pay attention, it's because at the time when we challenged them, that's what they labelled ourselves.
Yes. Oh, she challenged.
He talks too much in the class.
Yes.
He seems to be moving with the wrong crowd.
Yes.
Which is fellow brethrens at the time, were black.
Making too much noise. Answering back, not to listening.
Yeah. He seems to be quite organised. I think he may be a gangster in the future. Because they club together to buy a football, that means they are a gang. Anyway, fun and laughter apart, we have in the studio, you know what, anytime I see a man in a leather jacket,
it's plastic.
but anytime I see someone come in the studio in leather jacket, that's business, you know.
It's plastic.
Yeah? It kind of looks a little bit like Shaft. It doesn't look like Shaft.
It does. And today I was picking up Pam Greer from anyone, you know Pam Greer from the because on my WhatsApp status I'm going through all the females that I think were amazing in their time. So Pam Greer was the first female to be star in an action film. She starred in all the black exploitation films.
Oh, right.
I liked all those films. They were really cool. Those cool films. So she was like the first black female to be cast in an action main character role. So so coming out, as you mentioned, Sharp, I thought I'd mention.
It's funny, you know, because the first person I saw, talk in a drama, docu-drama series, or every week we saw it. I've got a series. Was Huggy Bear?
Oh, Huggy Bear.
What was Huggy Bear? It was an informer.
Was he an informer?
In Starsky and Hutch, of course he was an informer. He was imagine Huggy Bear used to go to the private detectives and tell them what one. He was an informer, wasn't he?
I didn't really know. I was checking his outfit all the time.
No, but they stereotyped that black person was the person who was in the ghetto, and he was the link that would tell them Wagwan. He didn't realise he didn't know Huggy Bear was like a Mr. Fix-It. You never watched telly back in the time.
Trying to show age, right?
Yeah, you never watched. Look, black people on telly. Love Thy Neighbour. Who remembers Love Thy Neighbour? That was the man who's in the EastEnders, I forgot his name, and he plays Mr. Truman or whatever him. They used to call him Nick Nog. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that now.
You remember Love Thy Neighbour? Listen to the title. Love Thy Neighbour. And he's calling him Nick Nog. And it was acceptable to go to cinema to watch this kind of lambasting of culture. Yes. What else was on telly? Back in the days when you were years old, Mr.
X Factor, because I'm
X Factor.
Right. I'm going to pass. In the studio we have the etymology expert, Mr. D.S. Jammers.
Yeah.
He's going to be sharing words. I mean, tomorrow actually is National Poetry Day, so all you wordsmiths, poets, everyone that's go out there, share your poetry. Share all your words.
Yeah.
Put them out there somewhere, embrace all the words. So we have our words.
What's this for, Mummy? What's that for?
Well, I remember being told why because why has a long tail? So that's what I would get told. See, I was told stop getting into big people's business. So to stop asking questions. Don't ask questions. But I've come to realise as I've grown that asking questions is the most important thing you can do. So when we tell young people to not ask questions, we stop them from being curious and inquisitive. Since then, I've always been researching to investigate what happened to the women that were left behind when the men went off to fight for a particular country, European nation. And so we're actually coming out with an anthology in the next month or so about how of the experience of the women when they were left behind in the Caribbean and Africa when the men were taken off to go and fight in a war that had nothing to do with them. So that's part of it. Even when World War I is taught, they miss out.
Well, we're going to bring in Mr. D.S. Jammers, but you just sparked off something in my mind. Back in the days when I watched television and there was a movie called Shaka Zulu with Michael Caine. Did you ever watch that? Michael Caine was a star, but Shaka Zulu was running rings around the British Empire. Do you remember that? How he defeated them? You don't remember the great Shaka Zulu?
I didn't see that film, but funny enough, my dad had a picture on the wall with Shaka and surrounding the British troops. One big painting.
Yeah.
That was the head of the main picture in the room was this of all these Zulu warriors surrounding like these British army in distress. So I had that to visualise that when I grew up on the wall.
Okay. And did you never ever ask your dad? I don't know how old you was, Dad. What's going on here? You just saw the picture up on the wall.
Picture on the wall, yeah.
You never questioned that.
But I later got a book on Shaka.
Shaka Zulu.
Yeah, and I found out that guy was a true one.
Yeah, defeat them. But another film that was very, very, very important to me, sorry, not film, series, 1977. ABC TV brought out one of the biggest series, top series going out, Roots, Alex Haley, with Kunta Kinte. And that leads on to our next question, right? And the next question is relating to D.S. Jammers, because you've got your event called Regenerating the Family and the Genius of the Black Child, right? And when I look at that, you say regenerating the family. The family was what our legacy is. Alex Haley done his, what do they call that?
Autobiography.
No, was it autobiography, or he went to find his lineage? And in finding his lineage back to Gambia with Kunta Kinte, it empowered. How much people got empowered by that film?
Well, my dad said someone lost their job over that film because they went back and got top up there.
but that's it. You know what? You know, sometimes I think we need the slap in the face to wake up, because we've become very complacent. That was a film, to me, that woke me up when I was a young boy, very young. What should I say? Oh, very young, watching that, realizing what's going on here. Why did he chop Kunta? Was it Toby? Mm-hmm. Why did he chop his foot off? And this is a word, Jammers. Do you remember the psychologist or physicianist who came up with this word called drapetomania? Yeah. That when a slave...
This is the first one I heard you said that name actually. And I heard some like intellectual show where they use it. I said, oh, that's taking it from you.
So when you heard me say it, you thought, it just found it. Drapetomania. Can you break that word down?
You're the expert on that.
No. You tell me.
It's the concept that as a superior race that is coming to civilize another race. Now, why are you running from us, when we're only torturing you? That's the basic.
No, drapetomania. Alright. Is it? Oh, sorry. Drapetomania was a terminology which this psychologist brought up to say that when a slave was running away, he was suffering from a mental condition. And the cure for him for running was to chop his foot off. That if you were running away was a mental condition, and the cure is to chop your foot off.
That's like King James, when he went to find out if someone was doing witchcraft, he tied them up with weights, throw them in water, and if they sunk, then they went witches.
Then they what?
If they sunk and drowned, then they weren't witches.
I'm gonna get Lady Essie to read the description.
Okay, drapetomania is was started in 1851 by American physician Samuel A. Cartwright, who hypothesized as the cause of enslaved Africans fleeing captivity. He basically said that he described the disorder, which he said was unknown to our medical authorities, although, hold on. He said the order was, he said there was a consequence of masters who made themselves too familiar with slaves, treating them as equals. That's the reason why enslaved Africans got the disorder. If they were treated kindly, well-fed and clothed, food enough to keep their small fire burning all night. So basically, if they weren't submissive enough, that's why they would run away. And the prevention and remedy was that they should, the troublesome practice that many Negroes have of running away can almost entirely be prevented, he said. He says they should remove their big toes of slaves that ran away, because he believed it was the thing. However, his theory has since been debunked as pseudoscience. So back then, they used to try to use scientific and psychologists to kind of confirm what they were doing. So they used people like him to try and say, this is what you need to do. So because the scientists or psychologists had said it, then it became like the remedy. Thank you, Empress D, that sent in the video that I was talking about earlier. That was by Who is Calabar? That was the person who sent the video I was talking about earlier. Thank you, Empress D, for sending in the video.
Yeah, so that's the word pseudoscience.
Pseudoscience.
Pseudo.
False. Pseudo's false.
False. Made up. Conjured up.
And talking about names, the main part of Kunta Kinte, what you brought up earlier, was the changing of the name. You know, when everybody was willing to keep his name, and in the end, he got beat so badly that the first thing that the slave master done was make him change his name to Toby. You know, and that is a key element in our identity and our consciousness and our value, because a name is a level of consciousness. Basically, if you go to France and you don't speak French, you're not conscious of the language that they're speaking. So the first way that you're conscious is through the very words that you've been associated with, or the words that you've been taught, or the value that's been placed on words. In ancient days, in African societies, the name was a significance of basically your stars when you was born, and the character and the science behind the timing of when you were born and an astrological cycle. So it signified an aspect of your nature, or the name was attached to you for you to aspire to be the name that you were given to you. So the name was as your trigger to your consciousness of who you are. It's your first trigger to your identity. And when we're talking about regenerating the family, the first thing that we have to know is identify what a family is and what a family has to do.
And it's very interesting when I played the skit and audio snapshot of what Muhammad Ali said when he was talking to his mum about growing up seeing that everything that was black was negative, everything that was white was seen as positive, and that how he, Muhammad Ali, represented the US of A boxing in Poland, I do believe, and he won the belt for America, but he couldn't go back to his hometown and even eat a burger because of the segregation. And they turned around because they didn't know who he was, and they said, we don't serve Negroes around here. But as an orator, he was one of the best. At my time, that inspired me as a youngster, saying, well, hold on, who is this gentleman that is going against everything? In the time of what he was doing, he could have made money doing X, Y, Z. Ali's name, original name?
Concious Clay. And well, the thing about Ali, a lot of us talk, you know, but we talk amongst ourselves. He stood up by himself and was talking to the very people who were perpetuating the crime, you know, and he was fearless, you know, he's fearless, and he invented the self-development, his own self-development program by saying he's the greatest. He actually had the science by using the word greatest, knowing the consciousness of the words, that he actually self-fulfilled and perpetuated the very words that he uttered out of his mouth, and he was able to even instill a form of prophecy where he could tell an opponent that the opponent was going to drop in round 5, and the opponent fell in round 5. He understood the science of words, you know. He understood, like Dick Gregory, that he could use humour to get his point across in front of the enemy. And just like Bob Marley.
And it was intelligent as well.
Yeah.
Because he dealt with things intelligently, but with a humour, and not putting himself like he's offensive, but he's got a way of a uniqueness about him in the way he does it.
Because oratory or speaking skills is to be able to get your point across. Getting your point across, if you offend somebody, they're not going to take in what you've said. If you make them laugh, you've broken down the barrier, so even when they're laughing, in their subconscious, your message has got through to them and they're prepared to listen to you. That's the same with Bob Marley's music. You know, he had the beat of the music, people dancing to the beat and singing the lyrics, and it sounds so sweet, even though they're singing about Babylon down Babylon. You know what I mean? So it's the science of the language and the way that you can play on the sound and the harmony to get your message across.
Because we're living in a time currently that anyone that is, say, a Pan-Africanist is seen as an angry black man. Angry, they're just angry because of the trauma and things that. So when you see somebody who is intelligent, it's hard to label them as like, oh, he's militant, oh, he's this. It's almost like you're battling them on their level.
Well, you see, there's a science of words. There's a science behind this, and words are something that you can play with. You can use to elevate yourself and motivate yourselves. If you know about grammar, then you know about programming. Because when you put forward something, it's called pro. You know, protest, produce, projector. So pro means to put forward something. So when you're putting forward gram, which is a word, you become a programmer. If you don't go to grammar school and learn how to program, you go to comprehensive school where you can comprehend the program that the programmer's put into you. And then you don't learn the Latin or the Greek or how the words are constructed, which you learn in grammar school. You go to a dictionary. A dictionary is simply a dictation, it's simply a book of orders. So when someone says a word to you, you know the instruction to follow. So Muhammad Ali knew the power of words, and he went bypassing the words as an order, and he was able to, with his poetry, you know, with his lyrics, he was able, like when he was talking about George Foreman and Sing Like a Butterfly, he was putting the words in like what they do in records, like the hit record. You might even like the record, but you're singing the record at the end of the day because it's got a hook line to it. You see, and then you know, and it's got a chorus. So you say core, you know what I mean? You go into it. So basically, there's a science in how you put words together. You can affect somebody else's mind.
Okay.
And I'll just say with the word Black History, they were happy that the person who brought out the Black History Month didn't have the science of words, because basically the best way to trick somebody is giving it to the person in their face, you know, and let the music, because we only were given The only time in slavery days we weren't allowed to read. The only books we were allowed to read are the ones that they gave us to read. But
Did they give us books to read?
After a while, the Bible, they gave us the Bible. That was but before.
That was the sort of chosen person to read certain segments of the Bible.
And again, there wasn't.
Is it Nat Turner, the film the other day?
There was something about Nat Turner where he used it to inspire us, inspire revolution. He used it because you could see that there was when he went out to the different plantations, he was able to see a bigger picture of the environment that he was in.
Yeah, I think it was Birth of a Nation.
Oh no, that film was a heavy film. But yeah, the point I'm trying to make is they were happy for us to use black history because they knew we didn't know the science of we didn't know the origin of the word black, So we would just use it as a noun, just as a name. What they did, so they were happy. But the thing is, now we are advancing our knowledge of words and we're starting to understand where the word black comes from. They don't want us to start. They don't want us to use the word black because the word black originates in Germany.
Is it?
Yeah, the word black. So they don't want us to find out that the word black originates in Germany, and find out the science that English, like Scottish means from Scotland, Spanish means from Spain, Welsh means from Wales, Irish means from Ireland. Yeah. English means from Ang is Angland, which is Germany. So when you're saying you're English, you're saying you're from Germany. That's what the word English means. It means from Germany. So English means from Germany. Black the origination of the word black is in Germany.
Yeah.
So this is what they don't want us to discover, that the people who call themselves English are Germans. The origin of Germans were barbaric Gaul. They were barbarians, Gauls, barbarians who seasoned them Germai. So basically, if you're saying that English, your origination is a barbarian. Also, the word German means to interbreed. So basically, if you're saying that English, you're interbreeding barbarian. That's why the royal family interbreed.
Yeah.
When you interbreed, it causes a blood condition which can lead to madness. So when you look at the history of the queens and kings, you'll see some of them along the line went mad.
Yeah.
Now, why did black originate in Germany, the same place what their barbarians was? Because black was the name that they gave to the Moors. The ruling class in Germany were the Moors. So the real royalty were the Moors. The barbarians were the Germans. So that's the real history of the word black, that the Moors civilized the whole of Europe.
Yeah.
And they were the ruling class in Germany. For instance, Queen Charlotte of England was she was a German descendant from a Moor.
Yeah.
So there was a black queen who ruled in England called Charlotte.
Okay, yeah. And she ruled.
Yeah, she was with I think it was King Alfred the Third. See, what happened was the Moors civilized Europe. They brought toothpaste, they brought street lighting, they brought plumbing, they brought medicine, they brought agriculture. So they ruled. They're the real royal family. Yeah. But then they got defeated by the barbarians, and the barbarians took on the defeated Moors' names, up until the point that they even call themselves Schwarzenegger, which means black nigger.
Yeah, okay.
You see, so they've taken on our surname, They've taken on our Niger. Niger means the dark one. They've taken on that as their surname, because that's the mark of royalty. The queen who rules England is Elizabeth Regina. Her surname is Regina. Regina means a royal queen, but Regina backwards is a Niger. So the queen's surname backwards is a Niger, the dark one. So they don't want us to find out. They're happy to us, use the word black, as long as we don't start to look past it being an adjective or look past it being a noun and see it in the science. Because even there's science in the word black that means somebody absorbs. It absorbs light. It also means melanin efficient, where they're melanin deficient. You see, so when you start to discover the science of the words, then you become more conscious of the words. And if we continually have this black history and then start becoming conscious, then we'll start to be able to use it to our benefit.
Wow.
That's a little bit.
you saying then?
Because I'll just go into, like, for instance, everybody thinks about the N-word as a bad word, but it's just the way they say it. So basically, Simeon the Niger, Acts 13 in the Bible, Acts 13, Simeon the Niger, prophesied the coming of Jesus. They have a ceremony in February, after the 25th of December. It's the first week in February. Coordinates, Bible coordinates. You go to Strong's Bible coordinates and you'll see the word Niger, you'll see it abbreviated. When you check what the abbreviation is, it means a Christian. So the original Christians were called Nigers.
Okay.
That's why everything is written in passages. What does passages mean? What the sages passed on. Cool.
I want to hear you say your name. Your name is Toby. What's your name? Gunter.
Lord God help that boy. They're gonna put him dead.
What's your name? Say your name. What's your name? Say it again. Say it louder so they all can hear you. What's your name?
Toby. My name is Toby.
Aye. That's a good nigger. Cut him down.
And that is a scene in Roots just after Kunta Kinte ran away, and they demonstrated the whipping in front of all of the slaves as a deterrent. That was the first deterrent in the film that we saw, because he kept running away, kept running away, kept running away. And the main deterrent, obviously, was when they chopped his foot off.
Well, so the main change. They changed his identity.
Yeah.
So the main thing they done was to change his identity. Then the other main thing, they stopped speaking their original tongue.
Yeah.
So that's cutting off your. Once I said it's a level of consciousness, and then you're cutting your link to your consciousness of who you are.
But it's funny because in the army they do a similar thing and they call it beasting. And beasting really is like psychology. Is when they break you down and rebuild you. Do you ever know that? Like, you know, you ever see them when they're doing their drills and the stuff, they're shouting at them, the people are standing in the hot sun, or they give them a task. And the task is not that they're carrying out the task is to break their spirit, so that now when they're broken, they rebuild that person to what they want. And they call that beasting, that's a beasting. You know, like, and that's where you get, in certain colleges and universities back in the day, you know, you get these groups, you get little cliques and groups, right? And to belong to these cliques and groups, you had to do certain tasks. And some of these tasks were not nice, they were like, just to belong. That is a form of beasting as well, to say, right, if you want to belong to us, you have to do this. Or you have to do these certain, what do they call these groups when they're special societies, secret societies anyway? Straying a bit. We've got DS Jammers in the studio. He has an event coming up on Saturday the 27th of October. Now we know Jammers puts on regularly, almost bi-monthly, you put on the Speakers Club, and the Speakers Club is about getting people up to speak with a panel. There's a topic, there's a drama played out by BAP, Black Arts Production, and then the topic is around the drama, and people in the audience are encouraged to get up and speak for 1 minute. So Jammer's event is around empowering people in the power of speech and words, and that's why we kind of touched on the topic with Muhammad Ali, and we touched on Roots and yourself, breaking down the words and finding out the original origins of these words and how we can empower ourselves. And you actually talked about the use of grammar and language. Grammar and language really is very, very important, especially when it comes now in the legal world. Now, I know they brought out a law about being ambiguous, that people using big words, and sometimes you didn't know what you were doing. And we can actually see where ambiguity has paid out, like now in the culture of the PPI, you know, the PPI, where people they've just signed paperwork, not realising that they've signed something away and they've got this insurance because it was just sign here sort of thing. So now years later we see, so ambiguity in a lot of things is why some of us, because due to what I call a lack of knowledge. If you're lacking the knowledge of something, sometimes you would just quickly sign something for the embarrassment, to save yourself the embarrassment as well. Yeah, man, this is a sign. And you ask the person, what did you sign? I don't really know. You know, half the time when we read something, the most important part of what you're signing is very small in, fonts, when you're reading it. And that is the agreement, the terms, the conditions are very, we've been very, how can I explain or use the word? We have Lady Essie from the Speakers Club. I'm looking for some words that explain words when you don't fully understand.
It's a code. Basically things are written in a code, and even when you look in the dictionary for the etymology of a word, it's a small little word written at the bottom, because they don't really want you to discover the code, because etymology is a Greek word, ethos, meaning from ethos and logi is word, ethos means true. So when you know the origin of the word, you're finding the true meaning of the word. So that means if that's the true meaning of the word, that means every other meaning must be ambiguous, false, or a code. It's mainly is a code. But
look what you have to do because of words. If you have to pay a solicitor, really it's just words to and fro. And then when the words get bigger, you pay the next one up. I think it's a barrister. And the next one up, who's it? The QC. And the words are getting bigger and bigger, you see, but the money is going up as well.
Well, what it is, you see, they give you lessons to lesson you, because what they're giving you they're training you to have the language of a minor. When they're calling you a minority, it's not the numbers they're calling, they're talking about your level of intelligence.
Yeah.
So they're giving you, by not learning grammar, they're giving you intelligence level of a child. That's why they call us a minorities. And when you're a minor and you encounter the law, you need an adult to speak for you. When you go to a doctor, now you need an adult to talk to you about medicine. When you go to physics now, you need someone who's educated in the language of physics. So basically we're learning the language of a minor. That's why they call us a minority.
Wow. Okay, once again, you've got an event coming up. I'm going to repeat this because you're calling this the National UK Conference of the Speakers of the Year Award, October the 27th. Did you plan it for Black History Month?
Tell the truth, it just came out of my mouth at the last Speakers Club.
So, but exactly.
But I did speak to Seti months before, so I was planning to bring Seti over.
And for our listeners who haven't heard of General Seti, I keep calling him General Seti.
Yeah, that's right.
Can you explain who Seti is, or why you actually chose?
Seti is one of the most controversial speakers on the planet. One of the persons who he inspires to is actually Muhammad Ali.
So, sorry?
One of his aspirations is actually Muhammad Ali.
Okay.
So when he's speaking, firstly, he's speaking as a strategist. That's another thing people don't realise about Seti. They just think, oh, he's just shooting his mouth off or whatever. But he's speaking as a tactician. So just like Mike Tyson, they thought, oh, he was just a brute. But when you slowed the camera down, you saw that he was actually hitting the actual nerve centres when he was punching. You know, he was actually doing a form of martial arts when he was punching. He wasn't just throwing wild punches. So Seti's actually a tactician. So he's actually got a strategy to what he does when he speaks the way he speaks. You know, he's really straightforward. He's abrasive. He's loudmouth, but underneath, I'll just finish here. So underneath all that, he's got a quick wit, and he's also got a very large research. He can bring facts up. You know, he's widely researched. He's researched under some esteemed like Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, and he has got a vast knowledge of our African history, you know, as well. And he's not afraid to challenge anybody. That's what I liked about Seti, is that he was the one who started really the debating. He used to go to other groups and have debates with them. And another thing is we have a Speakers Club channel on YouTube, which is the Speakers Club on YouTube, and when the video that we done with Seti received the most hits, you know, 31,000 hits we got when we had a show right here on Concious, So for that fact alone,
31 hits,
31,000 hits. Yeah, it was on actually Concious. We interviewed him on Concious. Well, he came on Concious, and the video received 31,000. So for that alone, you know, it's by public demand why he's actually coming over. You know.
It's very interesting that you brought boxing, Mike Tyson, and you mentioned Muhammad Ali. But isn't it interesting that black people is big physical person, but we're only accepted when we're dumb. We're sort of dumb. When we're intelligent, we're seen as a threat. We're seen as outspoken. We're seen as ignorant. Mm-hmm. Can I just play something? I just want to play a boxer who is accepted. Who is accepted. I just played a snippet of a program. Alright, I just thought this came to my mind.
Frank, you're a grandfather.
Yeah, very, very.
How does that feel, being granddad?
I feel old.
Oh, well, you're wearing it very well.
Very, very old, but it's nice. And I mean, my other daughter, Nicola, is pregnant, expecting a baby in October, so it's life and generation.
Does it make you nervous when you know the birth is coming? Did you worry about your daughter?
Yeah, I did worry, to be honest, because I had high blood pressure before the baby was born, and she was worried, and Bobby Harding was worried as well. Yeah, you hope everything comes out all right, and she's healthy, and thank God, you know.
How was it, by the way?
I did have a traumatic time. I got diabetes probably about 2 weeks before, so had to be induced 37 hours and then emergency C-section, which wasn't ideal. When I did feel like I'd kind of let myself down, I really wanted a natural birth.
You mustn't feel like that.
I did though, and I was quite upset.
Perfect births don't exist, by the way.
I didn't want an emergency C-section, but to get her here safe, I had to do it.
Everything that has to be done needs to be done in an emergency. I had an emergency C-section with my first baby.
And did you go on to have a natural birth?
Yes.
Yeah, which is I could go on to.
And neither of them were straightforward. Just to share that with the world.
Yeah.
But I wonder, you've been through fights. Right.
Yeah.
When women go through childbirth.
I was saying, I respect a woman 9 months carrying a baby and coming out and mum, you know what I mean? So you've got to fly the flag for a lady.
No, I think we're warriors.
You got it easy, but us men, all we got to do is fire some pellets and, you know what I mean? And then we just sit back and just see you just eat numbers bigger and bigger and push and all that business.
37 hours. Imagine being in the ring for 37 hours.
You've got respect you go through.
You know the reason why I'm playing that, Janice, I'm just listening to the tone of his voice, and he has a very bassy, baritone, deep voice, which to a lot of people sounds threatening, but he actually dumbs himself down to be friendly in the interview. And can you hear it? That how? But remember, he's a monster. but yet they dumb him down to be friendly.
It's called superior oratory.
Yeah.
Superior oratory. Oratory is the way that you speak.
Yeah.
So they speak superior oratory and they want us to speak inferior oratory. So by the way that the person speaks and the tones that they use and the words that they say, you can instantly be conscious if this person's a threat or not. So basically the tones that he's using, anybody who studies grammar or so can instantly tell that this is a docile person, you know. Where Muhammad Ali, the words that he used and the speed that he did it at, it was, even if they didn't like what he said, it was an art, he was doing it in an art form. The way that he put the words together was able to display a different way of putting the words together, you know, and rhyme like I said, open your eyes is open, and by the pen, you get penned in, so don't be penned in, by the pen, because you could end up in the deep end. So when you've got a command of the language to that kind of level, you're displaying superior oratory. So just by the words that you say, you can put somebody below you or above you. So that's another battle. It's another battle of the mind. It's another battle of wit.
Now, I'm just, because you mentioned two boxers, this is the third boxer I'm bringing in. And when boxers try to talk intelligent, let's say, how are they seen portrayed?
I know you're going to even bring in that.
Well, no, I'm just saying.
Can I say the boxer you're going to
who you going to bring?
Chris Eubank.
No, yeah. Why did they hate Chris Eubank? Why was he hated? Why? And it kind of goes with what I'm saying, with like when you're intelligent, because he was seen as, how can I explain it? A smart. How can I explain it?
Yeah, arrogance.
Yes, because he spoke intelligently. And when he spoke, he said, "This is a barbaric sport." He actually spoke intelligently, and it was like he was a caricature of someone who we loved to hate. We actually hated him and didn't know why. And the reason why they wanted us to hate him, because he was intelligent. Right or wrong? You agree with me?
Yeah, that's right. Spirit, you're a threat. When you're a threat, and it's not even hate, they just can see that you're a threat. You know, so they've got to keep their eye on you, or they've got to do something to subdue you, because they can't calculate what your next move is going to be. Because basically, that's another thing that people don't understand about language. Language and words is not really language and words. That's another fallacy. Language and words is really mathematics. It's really calculations. It's really that when somebody says something, you can calculate what they're going to do, or you can calculate what their next move is going to be. So, words is another calculation.
Next, number 96. 2009 will forever be remembered as the year that the boxer we love to hate decided enough is enough and got rid of his lisp.
To be honest with you, I didn't even know what I'm doing here. I had no idea this thing was going to ever make it to this grand scale here.
No, not him. It's trucking Chris Eubank. I had no idea Chris Eubank had got rid of his lisp. I think it's an error. Surely that's his charm.
This sometimes brutal business gives me a great deal of influence.
When one has a lisp, one stand out.
Essentially, I have an issue with my voice.
Yes, Chris Eubank decided to get £31,000 worth of corrective surgery on his teeth to help get rid of his lisp. Sorry, lisp. I'll try that again. Lisp.
I can't believe that Chris Eubank paid good money to get rid of his #1 trademark.
When you think of Chris Eubank, you think of two things, boxing and then the lisp. You've taken away the boxing and now you've taken away the lisp. What is there left?
I, Christopher Livingston Eubank, am here on Sun TV. The lisp has officially gone. Now I have a whistle.
Sorry, Chris.
Now I have a whistle.
Mr. Eubank now has to live with an even more annoying whistle.
You must be pretty gutted to spend all that money and to still have something wrong with it.
Okay, that's very interesting, but they were talking about his lisp. So they were actually, what's the word?
Well, it's a
when
trait.
You're taking the mickey out of someone.
It's a trait that you can belittle somebody with, so...
It's pardon?
It's a trait that they can belittle someone because they always, especially in this society, to impose your superiority. Sometimes when you're not superior, you want to look at somebody's error or mistake and then take some comfort in that, to say that you're a person of power because someone's tripped over.
Wow. Okay, once again, DS Jammers in the studio. October the 27th. By the way, how much the tickets and venue, time? Give us a insight what we're going to expect on the night.
Well, it's basically, once again, it's an award show where we're awarding members of the community for their speaking ability, because part of regenerating a family, inside the word family is the word meal, which means to think, and it's also in the word fam as in familiar. So family means to be, when we used to be familiar with each other by exchanging conversation, usually around a table. The table is a place where you can tabulate results, strategies, and ways that you can move forward to optimize the resources around you. So the home used to be a place where we used to work together to maximize resources. So it's more than just the talk, it's actually we're trying to take practical steps to regenerate the family. Another reason why we're bringing in SETI, because SETI has a big following in the US, and we've built a platform for generating wealth. So it's really a platform for generating wealth where it's got pay-per-view, so basically anybody in the world can watch the event on the day, and the contribution that they'll be making will be going into a kitty where we'll be giving out towards people who are active members in participating in regenerating the family or promoting the genius of the black child. So that's what it is. The platform really, the first, our first event of its kind to raise wealth, so global wealth we want to start doing. So the tickets early bird tickets are £15. They're available, they're still available, so you have to move fast because they're selling quick because they're a limited number. Then you can get normal online tickets going online or going to the Burning Grant Arts Centre. You can get the tickets for £20 and it's £25 on the door. We also have a delivery service, so you can get in London, only in London. So if you want tickets delivered to you, you can contact me on 07931 417 553. Once again, 07931 417 553. The first part of the night will be an award ceremony hosted by Your Honour Lady SC and Andrew Mohammed. So that'll be an award ceremony performance also at Bat Theatre. The second half will be also we'll have a panel discussion, mini speakers club event. And the second half will be live from Detroit, US of A, General SETI in the house. So yeah, it should be a stimulating night of entertainment. We're getting a lot of response, so you have to move fast to get your tickets.
Okay, and tickets are available at Burning Grant Arts Centre?
Burning Grant Arts Centre, you can go in person or you can get them online. Also, as I said, if you want for more information or if you want delivery service, you can call me.
Delivery?
Yeah, we do delivery service.
Okay.
We're in London.
Wow.
07931 417 553.
I've got a friend in America who wants some tickets.
Also online, if you want to watch it online or tell your friends or family abroad if they want to watch it online, visit the Speakers Club website, which is the Speakers Club it's www.thespeakersclub.co.uk. So once again, www.thespeakersclub.co.uk, and you can watch it live stream pay-per-view. Well, whether in America, Jamaica, New Zealand, Brazil, Africa, everywhere. Yeah. So that's what we're trying to do, a global event. Another thing is we're good talkers, but when it comes to action, it's kind of lacking because we wear ourselves out talking. Yeah. So we don't. So basically, what we're doing is it's like another Wall Street, Black Wall Street, where we're actually hosting an event. But this time, if we can talk it out, but at least collect money at the same time, and then the money we can use and turn it into action.
But when it comes to, I think we've touched on this before in a previous show. Mm-hmm. What is the quality of a good speaker in public?
It's debatable. Well, that's another thing. Another thing I think in the public. See, when it comes to speaking, freedom of speech is where you're supposed to be able to discuss and share views. And there's an art and a science to it, which they do in Parliament. If you see the House of Parliament, they be slagging each other off. and then having a drink in the bar later on. Because they know the science of it. Even in law, you'll have the prosecution and battling, and then they're having a drink in the bar, But because we haven't been trained on the science of speaking, we have a little heated discussion and we fall out for years. Families fall out, fights or fall out. So basically, we've lost the art of communication in a way, even in the Great London family, that someone will say a bad word or give someone a bad look, and because we haven't mastered the art of speaking, that's gonna end in generations of violence or a generation of fallout. So yeah, so speaking, the art of speaking is really you learn how to communicate with a certain formula where it's an exchange of views. And another thing what we haven't been trained to do in speaking is to come to a conclusion, because speaking involves bringing up a topic, bringing some facts to the table about a topic, but at the end, and even in reasoning and thinking, you've got to have a motion for the future or set out something for the future. So I think Lady Essie can give us some more insight on that dialogue.
But since communication is depends on the format, because some people, it's not that they can't communicate in terms of, some people have trouble doing the art of small talk. Some people just can't even they go somewhere, like go to an event, like some people find going to events and just striking up a conversation with somebody difficult. So even for some people, just that element of being able, they call it social anxiety, they see a group of people, you go to an event, and for some people to even go and introduce themselves and speak to someone can be a problem. So I think communication kind of depends on the context. So that context is about views as well, but there's also the other element of just even going into a shop and ordering something and having a conversation with the person who's serving you as well. And I think with social media, even at work, for example, people don't come and call you or pick up the phone now. They'll send you an instant message, or they'll send you a message on, everyone messages, like before you would probably call someone and say, hey, how you doing, what's going on? But now what do? You just send them a message, and then you just communicate by words, by writing rather than speaking. So that's the other side of things, is the art of small talk has also been lost, because a lot of people don't know how to literally just you see someone at the bus stop, hi, how are you? Oh yeah, the bus is late. Strap up a conversation, or you go into a venue and you have to go and speak to strangers. So that also has disappeared, which then gives people the confidence to kind of go on to the next step. Because although people do need to learn to speak widely, they also do need to I believe, learn how to kind of master the art of small talk as well. And that's my mission.
So, and also there's the science of semiotics as well. So there's the actual science of semiotics, where you can say one word in 5 different ways to get the result that you want to get. For instance, if I say it's raining, I'm giving off information. Yeah. If I say bloody rain, I've thrown an attitude into the equation, where now you've got an attitude to deal with as well as the information. If I say don't go out and it's raining, I've changed it into a command. You see, if I say, oh, what do you think about the weather? I've changed it into communication, forming a relationship to relay. So if I ask a question now, I'm getting the other person to relay information because I want to make a social contact. If I say now is the weather forecast, that's a code, because I'm giving you an overview for weather. You see, if I want to create a feeling in relation to rain, I say the heavy rain is beating down and I'm soaking wet. So now I've changed that into a feeling. So there's the science of semiotics. So once words is related to consciousness, and once because I do teaching, I'm teaching like the art of speaking on Saturday schools, and once people can realise that your level of consciousness relates to the words that you speak, you've got a different mind frame when it comes to communication.
And also, you also have to, and communication isn't just speaking, it's also the art of listening well. See, people focus on just talking, but people don't always understand that the other side of being a great speaker is the ability to listen. A lot of people do not listen. Some people listen to hear, to listen just to respond rather than actually listening to what some people don't say. this is sometimes you have to read between the lines what people don't say, and it's listening to, do you need to respond to what this person said? You don't always need to respond to something someone says. So the art of listening is also the other side of communication. And it's also about when someone is talking, like what you said about the House of Commons and law, is not taking what's been said, kind of taking emotion out of it so that you don't take it personally, because sometimes it's not a personal attack on you, the conversation, and it's accepting that we think differently, accepting that we all have different experiences, we've all come from different, we've all had different life experiences, and how we all see the world is not the same. Everyone sees the world very differently. So sometimes you have to accept that your view, and I might disagree with you, but it doesn't mean I don't like you as a person. It just means I don't agree with your view. But some people haven't learned the fact that just because someone doesn't agree with your view of the world, it does not mean that you should not like that person. It's just you don't like their views.
And also, there's a science that's supposed to show like this. We speak from the heart, where they speak with art. So basically, you have to understand these two different styles of speaking. One is when you speak as an art form, you suppress your feelings. You're doing it to get a result. When you're speaking from the heart, that's when the emotion comes out. So your emotion, and you're bringing that in there. So you have to understand when you come into an environment where someone is not. It's an environment of an exchange of information. You've got to be careful that you don't lose your heart in the conversation. Another thing what I'd just like to say about what Lady Essie was saying about Black history, and is that it was the type of Black history that's been being taught was traumatic. We wasn't the people who designed the content when it came to Black history. So basically it was trauma, that it was resurfacing trauma, and then basically Black history signified being re-traumatized. Traumatized. And as Lady Essie said, they don't talk about the time when we were the ruling classes and when we civilized them. So they don't want us to learn about that side of us, because the more when you hear a story, you store it in it, and it becomes your memory bank. So when you want to access information, you're accessing information from the story that you've been told. And if you've been told a traumatic story long enough, all you can bring up is the trauma. When you see something that is like Muhammad Ali of this world, or the Les Browns of this world, then you will aspire to do something great. And that's what we're trying to do with this event, is to bring publicity to the genius in our child, because there's front page headlines when there's a crime scene, but there's never front page headlines when we're leading the scene.
Because bad news sells. Just got a message from Empress D. She sent this after we were talking about our history teachers. So greetings DJ Supreme and Lady Essie and Jammers, bless up. Exactly what happened to me. I was actually removed and put into the remedial class, where all the disruptive people were sent. Yes, we can all relate to that. She also went on to talk about when I mentioned Pam Grier. And Pam Grier was Cleopatra Jones, the queen of the black movies in the 70s. And Presty goes on to talk about Roots, when Supreme talks about Roots. Roots was the opening up of Black People Eyes in England. I knew nothing about slavery until Roots. It was not spoken of before. It had never been spoken in my house, and my mum had no knowledge either until Roots. It was a very profound time for all Nubian people and all Caucasians. My Polish school secretary actually apologized to me because I was now looking at all white people as monsters. My whole attitude changed from then onwards. Thank you, Empress D. Fantastic message, yes.
I wanted to play to people that a speech that I thought, or public speaker, what I thought this year should win an award, and I want to nominate this to the Speakers Award. Am I allowed to do it live on radio?
So you're going to play me a tape of yourself then?
Well, I wrote the script for this, but to me, I would like to nominate this in your Speakers
Best
Award.
speech.
Yeah.
Okay.
Best speech of the year.
I didn't even think of that as an
Best
award.
speech of the year.
Can I say to the Home Secretary that the relationship between this country and the West Indies and Caribbean is inextricable. The first British ships arrived in the Caribbean in 1623, and despite slavery, despite colonisation, 25,000 Caribbeans served in the First World War and Second World War alongside British troops. When my parents and their generation arrived in this country under the Nationality Act of 1948, they arrived here as British citizens. It is inhumane and cruel for so many of that Windrush generation to have suffered so long in this condition, and for the Secretary of State only to have made a statement today on this issue. Can she explain how many have been deported? She suggested earlier that she would ask the High Commissioners. It is her department that has deported them. She should know the number. Can she tell the House how many have been detained as prisoners in their own country? Can she tell the House how many have been denied health under the National Health Service? How many have denied pensions? How many have lost their job? This is a day of national shame, and it has come about because of a hostile environment policy that was begun under her Prime Minister. Let's call it as it is. If you lay down with dogs, you get fleas. And that is what has happened with this far-right rhetoric in this country. Can she apologise properly? Can she explain how quickly this team will act to ensure that the thousands of British men and women denied their rights in this country under her watch in the Home Office are satisfied?
Mr. Speaker, I share the Honourable Gentleman's admiration.
Right, jammers, marks out of 10.
Well, since my mum looked after him as a child and I made him walk,
You made him walk?
Yeah, so I was playing with him actually.
You was playing?
Yeah,
let's not get into your what you do in your hobby.
I was 2 or 3 years old, so I was making him stand up. Making him stand up. When his mum came back, I got him to walk. So that's my claim to fame, is I'm the man who made David let me walk.
Okay.
You know, but even though when I saw him later on, he says people say that he walks badly. And sometimes when he speaks, I wish I tied his shoelaces together. But no, that was a really that's one of the most passionate speeches I've heard from him actually.
Yeah.
So, and I think it was close to home because that's what made me put that out. Yeah.
And you just made a point there about speaking and relating to the speech and also being passionate, because that's what is kind of lacking sometimes when we speak. Or we can be over passionate. And I say we are good speakers, because when I see our pastors in the church, we're very animated, we're very physical.
I said we've got balance. There's a balance. As I said earlier, there's speaking from the heart. Because speaking to show. Speaking from the heart, which is emotion, and speaking as an art, which is the style. So we've got to learn to be able to balance between the emotional and the artistic side, where you're trying to get a result. There's a calculating side, like a chess game, and funny enough, more is invented to chess. Yeah, so basically, that's when it comes to speaking. Yeah, there's two sides to it. You know, and in the church, you can see the heart, speaking from the heart. You can see the emotion coming out.
Okay, so when you do your public speaking, do you have a set that you've got when you go to speak to people, or do you just go from the heart?
Well, basically, we've just developed. The one thing that was lacking in the Speakers Club was the how. So we had a topic and we had the debate, and I break down the words, but the how element was missing. So what we're starting to do now, we're going to be having classes with the how element, where we will show how the art of speaking, the 5 points of oratory, exordium, narratio, inventio, so we'll be breaking down the old ancient formula of speaking from Adherdium. The book called Adherdium is the oldest book on speaking. The pseudo author is acclaimed to be Cesario, but really the book was found in Africa, and it's basically the principles of law. So the principle of law is an actual formula in different styles, as Lady Essie was saying. There's a style for introducing someone, there's a style for when you're in court, there's a style for just having a common conversation.
As well as Janice talking about the Speakers Club doing their own thing, if you are also interested, as many of you heard previously, I am a Toastmaster as well. I'm part of Toastmasters International, which is been around for over about maybe 100 100 years as well, and we've got them all around the world. And there is a club in Tottenham called Tottenham Speakers, which I am a member of. And that is also another way that you can also learn how to gain more confidence as well. Because many people actually, statistically, more people are scared of speaking in public than they are of dying. So that is, some people can be more scared of getting up and talking in front of people. And the fear is real, but the only way you can get over that fear is by just doing it. Yep.